What is up, comic fans? Welcome to the Legion of Comics. It's Sunday night. That means this is at Week's End, the spoiler field look back at this week in comics and so much more. We're definitely going to be diving deep into Ahsoka episode 5. What a ride. Can't wait to do it. So let's not waste any time. Let's go. All right, so let's go ahead and bring in the panel. We got a fantastic panel tonight, as always. The partner in crime from the next sector over. We have a lot of ground covered. Check out the DC deep dive tomorrow to understand why that was so funny.
Check out any DC deep dive. See if I ever point to Mark where he actually is.
This guy has no spatial awareness. And bringing in the other homie from way up north, even though he's the power bottom. What is going on, Animal Man?
Well, not too much. Just enjoying this beautiful Sunday night and ready to talk some Ahsoka.
Survived the hurricane?
I survived the hurricane. It wasn't much of a hurricane. It was like a couple of branches that came off the trees. That was about it. So,
what a letdown then. There goes your cover story.
Yeah, I was hoping that trees would go down. Well, it's not uncommon for trees to be knocked down. Like we did, I think it was last year, we did go for I think it was like a week without power. So
that's excessive. Yeah, that sucks.
So, let's go ahead. No power outage this time. So
we've had a fantastic co-host rocking with us from the start of Ahsoka, and I'm happy that he's made it here tonight. None other than Comic Man Andy.
What's shaking?
A lot of my nerves since watching episode 5. That was intense. It was emotional.
It took a lot of emotional energy, didn't it?
It did. And I'm not even like a diehard cartoon guy. Like, I'm burning through Rebels as we speak, but just being a huge prequels fan, and having more than zero knowledge of Ahsoka going into this, it still hit. Can't wait to get into it. But with this episode being such a big deal, having a limited release in theaters, being like probably the biggest fan service thing in Star Wars since Luke had his appearance, had to make tonight the same thing. This episode of At Week's End should be screened in big screen because we have none other than Aggressive Relaxing here with us to break this down and talk Star Wars.
Hey guys, what's going on? Thank you so much for having me here to talk Star Wars. I'm just going to be trying to get my BB-8 unit back online while we chat.
Well, I appreciate you being here, man. Whenever I think Star Wars, there's a very short list of people that always pop in my mind, whether I'm trying to think of them or not. And Andy is definitely one of them. And you're the number one guy. You are the Star Wars guy in my head out of the people that I know and hang out with. So I appreciate you hopping on, especially to talk about this episode.
So real recognizes real. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of real recognizing real, big shout out to Big Time Collectibles. Be sure to check them out at their website. You can follow them on social media. They're already showing off some of those New York Comic Con exclusives. There's some beautiful Superman 78 swag coming you don't want to miss out on. And if you need anything cleaner press, the homie Justin could hook it up. Be sure to check the links in the bottom of any of my videos to figure out how to find those people. And a huge shout out to ABX Comics and Games. So my oldest daughter is calling me, so I'm going to let any of y'all take the reins from here for a minute.
Bring up that tidbit about Justin again real quick. There you go. So Justin Comicx actually announced he's going to be doing a subscription service. So for one yearly rate, he's going to be pressing a certain number of books for somebody, for anybody. And he's only going to allot for, I think, 10 spots. And I think he's got 4 or 5 of them already filled. So kind of doing something a little bit different, charging a yearly rate for, I wish I knew how many books he was going to do. And yeah, Justin can drop that because it's a lot less talking than I thought I was going to be able to do. It's pretty cool though when you think about it. If you're grading as many books as that you need a presser and a cleaner for everything, having somebody at your side with a subscription service to be able to do that is going to get you a locked in spot there for the turnaround on your books. $10 per book, fast turnaround time, CGC, CBS submissions. Use code We Are Legion. So yeah, he's been in the game for a couple of years now, Preston.
And don't forget, everyone that's here, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Make sure you hit the join button. You can actually join and be entered into the monthly Legion loot box that's coming up this month. I saw some of the comics a little bit earlier. He's got another huge box coming up. If you know Mark, you know he just packs the boxes with goodies. So make sure you do all that. Thank you to all the Legion of Comic members. We got some other things coming up. Comicx Curing with Cancer is coming up. Right now they are looking for donations, slabs, books, whatever it is that you want to send. It's coming up October 20th to the 22nd. It'll go on all weekend, and they just announced this week, just 2 days ago, that they have a special book that was donated. The printing was donated by the Comic Mint. The cover art was donated by the cover artist Matt Wilson. It is Unnatural Order #1, and it is the special Comic Mint Comicx Curing Cancer special variant. So details as to exactly how you can get those will be coming up in the next couple of days or possibly a week or so. But yeah, and again, thank you to everyone who has voted for the Legion of Comics. He is nominated in just so many categories. So we want to thank you for all that. Don't forget to vote. Go to cbcawards.org. You have until, I believe it is November 5th, maybe? It's the 5th or the 12th, somewhere. It's right around the beginning of November to go in and to vote for everything. Don't forget to make sure you vote for Mark. So he is, by the way, he is right over there.
Oh, look, you got it right.
Yeah, checks in the mail, Paul. I appreciate that. My daughter just, for a lot of y'all know, but I'm super proud of her. She's 16 years old, and she started college this year through this Smart Kid program she's at. And not only is she already in that program, she's made the high honors for it, and she's having a ceremony Tuesday. So we're working out the details, making sure we have the number. Like the whole team's coming, foam hands, all that stuff. And so yeah,
Nice.
I'm so proud
Not
of her.
bad, Dad. Good job.
Congratulations to her and to you.
Yeah, I think it's just that I give her full credit. That's just who she is. You know what I mean? Like she's amazing. So big shout out to her. So let's say hey to some people in chat real fast, and we'll dive into this because we're already 10 minutes into the show. Paul, thank you again for all that, man. Yeah, be sure to vote Sector 2815 at cbcawards.org, right, TM?
Yeah, I guess.
Vote for who you want to vote for. So TM's nominated in the same category for Between the Lines. Huge shout out to TM and Roscoe for that. Paul is nominated for Guess That Key. So it's really hard to go wrong. Just make sure you vote for one of those two, at least. What's going on, Cliff? Hope you're doing good, my man. Las Crucius. Hello. TM, Sector. Evil Mike is in the building. Hey, look at all the haze. Scott, my man, I hope you get some rest. Definitely check out the rewind. This was a fantastic episode of Ahsoka. I know you've been hanging on to the fact she's dead and the show's over, but they found a way to write another episode. I know you'll be interested to find out what happened. Let's see. Scrolling. DJ Links, what is happening, brother? Hope you're doing good. Hefe just announced his 100 subscriber winner today. So if y'all checked out that video or his channel, go check it out to see if you won that fantastic pack. I know who won. I'm not telling you, though. Go check it out. We got the Yos, Dagger Cards. What's going on, brother? Hope you're doing good today. Scrolling. Durs, what's up? Had a fun little sesh. I caught the tail end of it. It's always fun watching Durs. He's just a little bundle of energy. Trev, what's happening? Remember, Trev goes live tonight at 10 p.m. real time. I hear him say 9 p.m. Like I don't understand these time zones he's working with, but 10 p.m. real time. And shout out to Durs for putting together when does that Superman 78? So they'll announce it on the page. They'll announce it on the page. So I don't know if I'm like, hey, he hasn't announced it on the page, so I can't say. That's the way that works. But they'll just follow Big Time Collectibles on Instagram. If you can't make it to New York City Comic Con, they always put up their exclusives. They allocate some for the website because they love their customers and know everybody can't make it there. What is going on, Bobby? Hope you're doing good this evening. You saw my rig giveaways. So let's make sure I don't miss anyone. Norin Rad, what's happening? And I think we made it to the bottom. All right, so let's get into it. I'm ready to get into it. Got a lot to talk about. Don't want to waste too much time. Ahsoka episode 5. We got that cliffhanger at the end of episode 4 where she's in the world between worlds, having seemingly died, and it looks like because of her connection to the Force, it took her to this place that was introduced in Rebels, a place connecting all time and space that people who are Force sensitive have access to. It's very mysterious. They don't get into how you access it per se, but she found herself there, and they left us on the cliffhanger that Anakin was there with her, and that's where this takes off. What who wants to go? Who wants to talk it?
I guess, do you kind of open yourself up with the light debate here? I will, and I'll get probably some pushback for this, but was this even really the world between worlds? Because you have to think about this for a little bit. Filoni did a masterful job like eliminating the thought process of there being time travel. You remember like a week or two ago, everybody's like, oh my God, the continuity is going to get ruined. Time travel, they could open up all this for other things. But what he did is he left enough doubt here, at least in my mind and maybe some other people's minds, that this could be Ahsoka in such a deep state of meditation that her mind brought her to internally what she thinks is the world between worlds, but it might not necessarily be that. Because remember, as we go through this and we watch, the versions of Ahsoka we see are still older Ahsoka in her head. Mm-hmm. You know, there's some things to connect to that a little bit. So, I mean, it's debatable a little bit, right?
So are we saying that she was in the water the entire time? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. You know, the kind of that thought process that she's in her state, her Jedi abilities put her in such a deep state of meditation that she's regressed into her head and created this all in her head and made the connection through the Force, yet she'd been in the water the whole time. That's kind of my interpretation.
I've heard this.
I thought she was in the water the whole time myself. I didn't think that her body left the water. I thought it was just her mind going there.
This is an old school Star Wars. I've heard this theory
at the same time.
Hear Obi-Wan? Did he really hear Obi-Wan, or was that just teaching coming through?
And the other question that I have is, could both be true? Could her physical body have been in the water, but she traveled to...
I'd like to think that she was talking with a Force ghost of Anakin, and that wasn't just her trying to get through it, like figuring out things on her own. I kind of wish and hope that it was Anakin coming as a Force ghost to finish her training and to let her get past the point of you're more than I was becoming a Sith. You're more than this war that has happened, and it's crazy to think about too of how young. We never really looked at it when we were watching Clone Wars, how young she actually was until this episode, and that, and be like, wow, she was like only 14 years old in a war, and that's just crazy. But I hope it was the world between worlds, and I hope that was a Force ghost, and it was Anakin.
That makes a good point though. With Jason hearing the lightsaber,
that is
it's like point. It's got to be happening somewhere, so it's got to be real as you know.
That's what I thought. Her singing, because like we haven't really dove into and have any kind of hard answers to how the world between world works and all this and that. Filoni's very vague with some of the stuff I've seen him talk about, and I think that's for purpose. But I just assumed her body was in the water and she was like her Force ghost, like her still alive, pretty much her Force ghost was operating there, kind of thing.
He definitely did enough magician, like sleight of hand tricks with the way this is delivered to completely divert at least my thought process into there being even a shot at time travel. I didn't even think anything close to that. That was phenomenal.
We allow Disney a little forgiveness when they make good stuff.
Yeah. In mind, this is proof positive. I'm not just an anti-Disney shill. I am, but I will admit when they do good.
Fair is fair.
Fair is fair, and of course that's all just like from my perspective. You know what I mean? Like you like what you like, but
I love the discussion of, are these people really seeing Force ghosts? It's a fun way to like think about Star Wars, because you go and you look at like Kylo Ren talking with Han for a moment. Was Han enough of a Force user throughout his life that he was able to come back, or is that him just thinking about his dad? Is that
I assume it was his proximity to Leia?
You see what I mean? It's interesting to think about that. Like Yoda struck down lightning and had a conversation, but was that really just lightning and him or in Rey contemplating the Force and her masters and her place in the history of it? Are some of these actual Force ghosts and some of these aren't? And I like that discussion. I fall on the side of she was definitely in the world between worlds, and these are all just magical representations of these characters coming up and hanging out. Literally, that's where I fall. But it's an interesting conversation. And the only thing I think that really adds credence to the idea that it wasn't was the owl. I didn't see the owl show up. So that's my only thing that kind of is like, well, that's a little different.
What's the owl?
There is a representation of the Force, and it seems like a force for good that has been guiding Ahsoka when you follow her like story. And it normally shows up, and I spent the whole episode looking for it. And I was disappointed.
I just
that
pictured you on your couch with binoculars looking at your TV for some reason. That seems like something you would do.
This little exactly. Your little bird book, honey.
What's that bird in the background?
All right. And that owl was the sisters, one of the sisters owls, and that was when Anakin put the light inside of Ahsoka in Clone Wars. So
yeah, which is some real deep Force lore that is, like it kind of what they're doing with Ahsoka seems like it fits more of the description of Anakin being the chosen one in the original prophecy.
Yeah.
Like what we're seeing right now seems to be more of that balance happening. It wasn't just, like the originally interpretation of it was that through being a sweetheart, Luke inspires his dad to throw the Emperor off, and then he dies, leaving just, one good Force user. But we know that's not true now. We know there's Force users, all over the place. So Star Wars has to square that, and I think that's kind of what we're seeing.
And I'm still, I said this last week, I'm still not convinced that Anakin was the one who called her. He called her Force Ghost to him to finish the training. He's the one who cut the bridge so that she fell into her memories because she had to go through that in order to continue her training and everything. And then he was able to send her back. I'm going up on that hill and I'm dying there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just my fandom and my love for the prequels and Anakin being the one in that original story arc of him from a kid to Vader to being the one to take out the Emperor. I just love those characters so much, and I'm sticking with that was actually Anakin there in Force Ghost form. Like I fully believe that, whether I have good evidence for it or against it. That's just what I want to believe, so I'm sticking to it. It was just great having it back.
He was referencing his fight with Luke, like talking about things she I don't think would know. Like the phasing in between of Anakin and Vader, all of that. It seemed like
that was amazing.
It really was exactly what TM said, which is like he came to finish his job and giving her the final lesson that will allow her. And she did the same thing Luke did, which is, she threw the lightsaber away and chose life, something beautiful.
You caught the part where she got a hit in on him too at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then she's learned a few things since they've met again.
She tried that same move again, and he catches her too later on. It's so good.
But I do agree with you how he knew things that she wouldn't have known. Like whenever she's like, "I'm not fighting you," and he's like, "I've heard that before," and that was Luke saying that to Darth Vader. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not going to get on one hill or the other about it being the world between worlds or not. I just have fun debating it a little bit to see how they're delivering it. And I will admit that there's a lot more items pointing towards that being the world between worlds. I think he did a fantastic job delivering us something that was palatable and enjoyable for everybody that's been massive fans of Star Wars from the animated stuff, and still giving people that haven't seen that something to hold on to and watch. But at the end of the day, I feel like everything that everybody was worried about a week or two ago was just gone.
Until
Well,
then.
if he doesn't definitively say it's the world between worlds, he can still use that in his movie at the end, bring Anakin back again, and make it a more give it an actual resolution of everything in the movie
Yeah.
that he's making.
Now, do you think this
And,
is the last time we'll see Anakin in the series?
This series, I do.
Yeah.
I think that's the last time we'll see him in the series. Yeah.
Hold on, Mark. I'm getting the clip up for your shop for comics here in a minute.
Okay.
Because I want to talk. I this is one of the big points I was really hoping
And
we were going to dig into.
This was twice now in this season. It wasn't just episode 5 where we see her eyes look like they start having that Mustafar Anakin look to them, that dark side coming through.
I want to go back and look at the other episode a bit, and I'll share my screen with you here in just a second. But they don't look the same to me. The first one and this one don't look the same to me. I want to basically pull them both up and maybe make an IG post out of it later. And I don't think I can zoom in better than this at the moment. If you want to show that screen,
You got it up? There we go.
Yeah. There's obviously reflection in the left eye, and in the right eye, a lot less reflection. This to me clearly looks like this is her leaning deeper into the dark side, if not necessarily turning. This was her decision making point of time, where if she made the choice to take his life or kill him, then she would be fully turning to the dark side. And then this was her choosing.
And that's her holding the red lightsaber too, right? Because she
correct.
Yeah.
Now the kind of two hills that people are standing on at the moment are, one was this is entirely just an reflection of the saber, and two, the other hill is being these are Sith eyes. And some people are saying, well, you can't have Sith eyes if you weren't actually Sith. Well, I think Dave Filoni's pushing us to believe that that's not necessarily a hill he's standing on.
I believe that she was, like, because the whole thing is like Anakin had to strike down Count Dooku to become the Sith. When you knock down a Sith, you become the Sith. And that was the test here. It was like, are you going to strike me down or not? So she's like crossing that fine line of becoming a Sith and not, because she has that fear in her that she's going to become what Anakin was. So I feel like the dark side was already in her. And then after all of this, she becomes that light bringer. She becomes like what everybody's calling her, like Ahsoka the White. So.
And there's also the whole concept of like there's a lot of visual representation happening inside of this world between worlds they were in. I mean, she went through different ages, for God's sakes. Why, like, to represent how she was feeling in these memories and stuff. Why wouldn't she have like the visual representation of how she's feeling that anger and that loss and potentially that rage with what happened with her life in this moment?
Yeah, the Force Ghost Anakin definitely feels like he had motivation. Like, he wasn't a figment of her mind, but was someone who was trying to achieve a goal and really help Ahsoka again. And it did seem like it was her finally having her darkest cave moment. Like this is, Luke goes and he fights Vader, he cuts off his head, the mask disappears, and he sees his own face. And he's like, oh, okay, so this is, what could happen to me. Rey, she has that moment with the double-bladed evil Rey. And Ahsoka, she was like this uniquely bubbly, ever, inspirational, always happy character who we have watched the galaxy just beat down for decades till finally we have this show. And it's very interesting storytelling where you literally had a lot of people complaining, like, the only thing I really don't like about the show is Ahsoka. She's just there. She's sad, kind of mad. And now we're seeing her have this wonderful, like, her moment in the cave finally. The most optimistic sweetheart character. The galaxy has finally turned her into the type of person who just, threw that Padawan into a rock with fury. And that was her moment. She was really going to just start doing what it takes to get the job done. She is no Jedi. And she has this moment where I love the she's no Jedi thing. And the idea of Anakin coming back and like helping her. I love this show. I think that's exactly what happened, and that is so cool. And what a great finally give. There was a couple other things you could point at in Clone Wars that is her kind of facing people tempting her to this dark side, but this was just unique. It was really cool.
See, that's the dude. I think this is the biggest sleight of hand trick, and I want to touch on what Manny has to say here in a second too. But this is the biggest sleight of hand trick that I think Filoni played on all of us. Is everybody's like, I like the show, but Ahsoka's so stoic and stiff and slow. Well, now let's pay attention to what happens after this, because, like you said, this was her moment, and now we have the Ahsoka that we probably remember with new life breathed into her. She's hopeful, and I'm going to be looking for quite a bit different body language coming from Rosario on the last 3 episodes of the season. And I feel like my heart felt like I was watching a different Ahsoka after this, and when she was in her white garb. And that was probably one of the more difficult things for me to watch, because I was really kind of getting emotional. And I was like, oh my God, we just spent 4.5 episodes, and now I feel like I'm watching the Ahsoka that I wanted to watch from episode 1.
And we touched on that I think it was last week we touched on the idea I'm not expecting Thrawn to have a big part in this till we get to the end. They're clearly just going to Empire Strikes Back this season and push it to the movie. And Paul is even talking about how painful that's going to be with the wait time to that movie. But what did y'all think of all the actual flashbacks of getting live action Clone War footage, getting live action Rex for the first time? Seeing Anakin through the ages, we saw more than one Anakin, seeing Ahsoka through the ages, just
seriously,
the fan service aspect of it was through the roof.
It's being called one of the greatest moment in Star Wars history now. Is what it's that flicker between Anakin and Darth Vader towards the last third or last quarter of that World Between Worlds part is being called or heralded as the greatest point in Star Wars history ever, or greatest moment in Star Wars history. And I think just adding Thrawn to this episode would have detracted from that and from Ahsoka's transition a bit too. So yeah, I wanted Thrawn like everybody else, but that would have almost been a disservice to this episode, in my opinion. But God, wow.
Yeah, because you can argue too that this show, even though it's called Ahsoka, hasn't been really focused on Ahsoka that much until this episode.
Yeah.
That's kind of been the way for a lot of these Disney Plus shows. They've kind of been a lot of sleight of hand stuff. Obi-Wan was about Reva and Leia heavily, and it's just, I don't know. But I think with Ahsoka, just from me binging through Rebels, there are a lot of characters that are involved in their stories. Their stories are big things happening. It's not just them on a mission without anyone else, or things and side quests happening and stuff like that. It seems like these other characters definitely do matter to the story, though. So I've been enjoying getting this stuff with Sabine, and I've been enjoying when we get to see the stuff, especially with Ray Stevenson. The Balin character has completely got me intrigued. I want as much of that character as we can get, knowing that this is all we're going to get. And I think that we made a turn with Ahsoka as well, because we've talked about it's the old man Logan Ahsoka story. She's old, broken, and sad, but now we're past that. What are we going to see? A completely different? She was smiling at the end of the episode with that epic buildup. That was the longest buildup ever. It just kept going and kept feeling optimistic, and I was sitting there smiling. I'm look at the damn whales. Look at them.
Yeah.
Just look at them.
Yeah. I'm not really expecting to see Thrawn until maybe the end of the 7th episode, and then the 8th episode will be him coming through the portal, and then that's where it'll end, and that's where the movie will pick up somewhere down the road.
You don't think there'll be a season 2 before we get a movie?
I don't think there won't be. No, I don't think so, because I think the longer this strike goes on, they're going to have to go right to the movie. I think because it's just been so.
Were they planning a season 2 before the movie? I don't
know. I was just kind of curious on what they were going to try to deliver to us before they got to that point.
And from what I understand, the Mandalore storyline is where it's supposed to be at, from all the studio talk and stuff that I listened to and all that. So I just assumed this was kind of a one-off. I didn't expect to hear anything about a second season for Obi-Wan. I don't think we need one of those.
And even the next series of The Mandalorian, they're saying, I read something where they're not going to do 8 episodes. They're going to do maybe 2 or 3 1.5 hour type things, little mini movies instead.
Just to prime it for the movie. It's a very interesting place how all this is playing out because it's new to everybody with this whole streaming film combo thing. Mike saying that this was supposed to take us straight to a movie.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I would
go.
hope that they did because I wouldn't want to do a second season of them like surviving Thrawn or defeating Thrawn. It's like that old trope, especially with comic books. You know, a villain's only a good villain until he's been defeated, and then after he's been defeated, I mean, you can use him again, but you know, like Null was only cool until he lost. Now he's just a throwaway. You know,
there is a theory. There is a theory going on about how they're going to meet up with Thrawn, and then they're going to find a bigger threat that's coming to this galaxy, and then they have to team up with Thrawn because in the books, Thrawn was like not strictly evil like he was in Rebels, and that he had a reason why he was doing things. And he aligned himself with the Empire for that reason. So there's a theory saying like they're gonna figure that out, and Ahsoka's gonna like step back and be like, okay, Thrawn, we're gonna team up and we're gonna take down this threat.
Well, I think Thrawn is the worst kind of villain. Thrawn is only out for Thrawn. Wherever Thrawn happens to, those are the ones that you can't. Nobody can trust him. So yeah, he says he's on your side, but as soon as he gets a better deal, he's going somewhere else. I think.
In the books, like he was out for his people. Like he was fighting for his people, and I forget the race of aliens that were like took over his planet, but like he aligned himself with the Empire to save his people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got the Chiss and the Grisk.
There we go. That's
Timothy's on, keeping up his old nonsense. Yeah, the Thrawn books. There is like 68 hours of Thrawn as a sympathetic character, guys. Yeah, it's a lot. They work really, really hard in the books to make Thrawn the hero of his story. And, there's a lot of like, yeah, there was like the one evil guy in the Empire. He was going to, destroy the whole planet. But Thrawn stepped in and just made everyone slaves. So, what a nice guy. So there's a lot of that in the book. But, yeah, he was Grand Admiral. There was a lot of evil talk. And if you go back and you look at like the Thrawn books and the, I forget that guy, Tarkin, and then the books of surrounding around Rogue One with Krennic, you see it's a real like the real Grand Moffs of Atlanta situation. Like they're just constantly bickering at each other and trying to get like money and trying to prove that they're the most evil to the Emperor. And Thrawn's just so hyper competent. He's never truly evil. He's just the one who will get the job done. You might not be super happy with his results. He'll do it his own way, but he'll get the job done. And you're very much right, TM, that he came to our universe to try to get the biggest gun he could, which he figured was the Emperor. And now that isn't a thing, yeah, his motivation still, now I think his motivation would immediately turn to like, I need Luke Skywalker to help me, and you guys now. Yeah, I think he's going to be like more of a Nick Fury character who's going to bring everyone together to fight this other thing, more than, a big bad. It's going to be really, I think we're going to end the season with him coming and him and Ezra being buddies, and the audience being like, "What?"
Yeah. Well, it makes complete sense that it has to go to the big screen after this. Then, if it goes that route, another season or two would be more of a disservice to the story and to the characters. Getting it into the big screen and allowing that to be really fleshed out and really developed, whether it's 1, 2, or 3 movies, is going to be more of a benefit to the franchise, to the characters, to the fans, I think.
I'm interested to see how they'll change any of this stuff with that character, because none of these Rebel characters were around in his original stuff, right? Like none of them. Ahsoka or
this is primarily a Filoni and Lucas thing after the fact, right?
Yeah, Zeb is the original character model for Wookiees. So like that's a little
Forgot about that.
Easter egg that he's kind of been around since the beginning, but they didn't use the model. They only brought it.
I feel like Zeb's going to show up. He has to, because he showed up at the end of, what was it, the Mandalorian season? Was it Mandalorian or was it Obi-Wan? It was Kenobi.
Wouldn't it be Andor?
You know what? I think you're right. I think it was Andor.
And he was talking with Carson. And Filoni actually showed up in that scene too. He was in the background. So I'm thinking like that he's going to show up because Filoni just finished filming Ahsoka and was in the background just because of that fact. And Zeb was there. So maybe they're definitely going to have Zeb show up at the end because Carson was there too.
One thing that I was reminding myself of, like, all of this stuff takes place after Return of the Jedi and some of the other Disney. This is literally the foundation building to Disney's New Order. Like that's what this is ultimately building to, and that kind of breaks my heart knowing that, is we've seen the conclusion to all of this. You know what I mean? This is the sequel trilogy comes after this, knowing that the Empire's been secretly building in the background, and all the stuff that we've been seeing through all these shows of like Empire defectors, like still building stuff or trying to get clones into that.
But they've been saying that they're going to use the World Between Worlds to totally wipe out the sequel trilogy.
But who's been saying that though? Because Kathleen Kennedy's still there.
I read a couple of things online that say that Disney is planning on getting rid of getting it out of canon, and they're going to do it through the World Between Worlds.
God, man, that would be such a treat.
Or they'll just simply take a different route and take the story in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't do that without actually addressing getting rid of that, because the timeline's so close. The events are so close. Like Han, Leia.
They don't have to tie everything together.
They did mention Leia in this episode too. And like did get a feel of like this is why the New Republic fell, because of the fact that they're literally not listening to anybody. They're all Democrats. But
spineless.
Rey is supposedly going to be in Filoni's next movie.
So that was part of the announcements. Like they announced the finale film for this era, this Filoni storyline. They announced the movie that goes back to before any of the films to like really discovering the Force, which I'm all in for that. Like I think that would be a blast, like totally untapped time era stuff. And they announced a follow-up movie to the sequel trilogy starring Rey, like reestablishing like everything, pretty much like what Luke was doing in Heir to the Empire, like trying to reestablish life post Empire, like Rey reestablishing like the new Republic post New Order kind of stuff. I hope that gets canned. Like I absolutely hope that just let's forget that. Like let's not do that. Let's do something else.
Well, like you guys seen that movie Jumanji, the new one where it's a video game?
Only 1,000 times. It's so fun.
Yeah, well, like in it, there's the guy who can see the map, right? Because like the map is all cleared for him, and that's how I feel when I look at Star Wars. Like everything, in my opinion, is so clearly going straight towards Rey, and I know that like I give people who kind of give a cynical Star Wars take a hard time, and it's not because I don't like your cynical Star Wars take. It's because I have a more cynical one. Right, and like, you're not looking at the big picture. So what's going on, in my humble opinion, as someone who's read way too much Star Wars nonsense, is that Star Wars has a villain problem. Right, it doesn't have a villain. There's no one for Rey to fight that we would care about. So like, how do you fix that, right? And that's kind of what I can almost like see the marketing meeting when I look at what Star Wars has done. And so they went back to the High Republic, right? They went back 400 years. And then those people are talking about things that happened during the Old Republic, which they are softly kind of working that game back into canon. Even though I think the remastering of it has been now, I think I heard news of it being canceled. I might be wrong. But there's other aspects of the Revan story that you see kind of being teased. And this seems like it's all setting up for the ability. It's conveniently 1,000 years ago. So like there's like this Jedi Wookiee named Buryaga that disappeared in the High Republic. And I can totally see him or maybe Hu Yang, sitting by a fire and explaining to all of these people who are now our new heroes, 1,000 years ago, there was this great evil, and it's now in the galaxy next door because the people before the High Republic were able to run it off out of our galaxy. But that's why Thrawn is coming here to try to, like I said, get the biggest gun he can to fight these people. This is all giving Rey and a teenage Grogu and a clone that might have the Force. All of these things that have Star Wars imagery that you grew up with are all going to be at Galaxy's Edge fighting, the galaxy versus this new galaxy that we've made enough content over the last 10 years that nerds can convince you on YouTube that this has real history. We've been building this up for years. So like that's what I'm seeing, that this is all very clearly heading towards the Rey trilogy, but it's because they have nothing for her to do and they've been artificially creating something for her to do. And that's my take on when you look at Star Wars, you read all the books, you read all the comics, play the games. It seems to be all just trying to create a villain for Rey, in my opinion.
Star Wars is for people who aren't very smart. Howard Chaykin.
I would debate that all day long because I'm
one thing you don't do is debate with Howard Chaykin. That's not a thing. He doesn't allow it. I don't know if you're familiar with Howard Chaykin, but I don't think
I'm pretty sure.
I love that guy.
I'm pretty sure that
he's a treasure.
The next Star Wars movie that's set to come out is before the Filoni one. Isn't that Skeleton Crew? I don't know what it's about, but
the Skeleton Crew was a series. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Stars Jude Law.
Yeah. Are you thinking the movie, the Kathleen Kennedy movie, the other one that got canceled? That was the Squadron Group.
Yeah, there's Patty Jenkins. That one got canceled.
No, but there is that was Rogue Squadron, but there is supposed to be another movie set to come out called Skeleton Crew or Skeleton. Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna look it up.
The only ones I know about are the three that they announced at that Star Wars Day event.
Skeleton Crew is actually a series, though. Travis.
Okay.
So what y'all think?
That's already
going full Pinocchio and going space whale.
Being swallowed by the space whale.
Who did what?
What do you think about Ahsoka being swallowed by the space whale to get to where she needs to go?
Yeah, how biblical. Great.
I mean, when you get past the biblical side of it, I like it because it's a form of space travel the human, or not humans, but they were not meant to see. So they just get the glimpse of light coming through the teeth, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So I didn't expect them to travel in their mouth. I didn't know what I expected. I didn't know if it'd be like a proximity thing.
You want them to go up the beehole? I mean, come on now. What the blowhole or the butthole?
I thought it was going to be like a proximity thing. You know,
hop in the slipstream, but when they went in the mouth, that was awesome.
I thought they were just going to land the ship on top of the whale. So
yeah, but it didn't bother me none. And that shot from them inside the whale's mouth, and it just lights up, and she's just smiling. I'm like, let's go, let's get it. Like they made riding through hyperspace in a whale's mouth look cool.
It was so cool that when she, this is how Ahsoka got her groove back, and she immediately comes out of it, is smiling, so happy to see the little boy Force user, and then immediately like whimsically comes up with a fun way, not even like really asking the Force, but just looking up and seeing, the natural world provide to the Jedi. And she just benignly smiles and steps into its mouth and gets to
So
worship
did
it.
Kylo Ren slaughter that
One-
little kid at Luke's summer camp?
There's a comic about that, and the 4 students that he had besides Kylo Ren, when the Knights of Ren turned him, he destroyed the their little training camp or whatever, the day camp he set up, and then the 4 other people were gone. So they came back and they're like, "Oh no, they killed Kylo, or they killed Ben. We have to go, find them." And then they went on an adventure and found out the reality.
So who died at Luke's summer camp? Do we have confirmation on any of the characters that didn't make it through summer camp?
No, it's just always fire in the distance and Kylo's angry face.
Yeah, there's no listed.
Ugh.
Were you talking about Jace?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no listed date of death in anything I can find online, as because I kind of was thinking barking up that same tree this weekend.
That's a rough tree.
None of the younglings were ID'd.
Still waiting on the full report of the missing younglings from the day camp.
Mm.
Yeah, I wondered about that. Like, is that Grogu's ultimate end? Is that now? I saw this kid. I'm like, yo, this kid's next. Kylo Ren.
Oh, that can't be. Come on, that would just be cruel to do that to Grogu. He's like, kid just can't get away from it. First Anakin, and then his son. He's like, somebody's after me.
Sorry.
Now, we got to get live action Freddy.
No,
Prinze
you're
Jr.
good. If I keep them short enough and drop it back out.
That's why I just clicked pause. I didn't realize I was still sharing it at the same time, but that's why I have the audio muted for sure. I think as long as you keep it under like 7 or 8 seconds, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah, I'd stick with the 3 or 4 second rule with Disney at least.
I don't even bother to share a lot of this stuff live just in case. I was really looking for a really good image of Ahsoka, and the best one of her after everything was when she was out standing on the ship, pretty much.
Just kind of smiling. Yeah, when did she get the new outfit? Like
as soon as they woke up and she stepped out of the ship,
she came
to meet Jace and Hera and Chopper out at that cliff.
So as I'm going through Rebels, I'm learning very fast that Chopper is awesome. Even Finn's like Team Chopper. Like this.
You go back and you look at my early Reddit account, and it's just aggressively relaxing, constantly being like, "This guy's a war criminal," and I love it. It's the most dangerous rebel. What's that one guy who's like, "Oh, it's me, that old actor." I can't think of that guy's name. He's not nearly the murderer that Chopper is.
Yeah. So what really first caught my attention is
rebel.
when they get pulled out of hyperspace by the gravity weapon that the Empire has, and they leave it to Chopper to sabotage it so that they can get away. And instead of him sabotaging it for them to get away, he inverts it so it takes all of them out and the surrounding ships.
What, 550,000 deaths or something like
that? Yeah. Just on a
Chopper
whim.
goes hard.
Yeah, he does.
Oh yeah. What are they doing?
Have you seen him push that other droid out yet?
Yes.
Cold-blooded.
They're like, yo, we kind of like him. Should we keep him around? Just gone.
Welcome to the team.
Yeah, I like that it showed that droid survived the landing, though. They didn't go too savage with it. But y'all got anything else y'all want to throw on top for this episode 5?
Yes, everybody in the comments talking about Harrison Dula's Peach is dead on. That is rocking and trending on social media with the clips. And what's that song? Something Twins, I don't know. Yin Yang Twins or little, I don't know. The Get Low song. Because they're chopping up clips. They're chopping up clips of the ship getting low, and then Hera's dropping her tail end. And it's kept that, and then the Bo-Katan Peach stuff. It's Trev. It's a thing everywhere out on social media, and I'm kind of addicted to it because once you find a couple and you watch them on like IG Reels and YouTube Shorts and TikTok, then it starts sending you more, and it starts turning into this revolving door of like Star Wars like girl ass content.
Ain't mad at that.
I really enjoyed that part. They're just like, you know what, we're just gonna focus on her back end here because we know she has a great ass.
See, this is why I love Chopper. Like, I just wish that the last couple episodes, the Chopper audio that we've getting, I've yet to see somebody try to really filter that and find out what he said.
Yo, it sounds like he's cussing half the time.
We turned on the subtitles for the last 2 episodes, and it just says like it just says Chopper inaudible or Chopper making noise of something like that. It doesn't actually give you the text, so I was kind of sad that it didn't do that.
I see Headquake say that, you know, Doctor Who did Space Whales first, but you know, we have the Doctor Who, you know, Hu Yang, whose name I always thought sounded like Whovian on the crew, so it's fine. Doctor Who's here represented.
Forgot about that scene. Yeah, the scene where she's out, doesn't have a space helmet. She can't breathe out there. She can breathe out there. I mean, they're not in outer space. They're in the. You can breathe up to like 10 to 14,000.
She's also not human from what I kind of conclude.
It's also not Earth, so the same rules don't apply, right?
I was kind of wondering how whales were breathing in space.
And flying.
Yeah, and flying. And what's with the tentacles and the hyperspace travel? And there's people in its mouth.
Did anybody else think that was a really cool callback a bit to the original movies with Han Solo diving into the worm and the Millennium Falcon a little bit? Just the mouth
totally
opening.
the teeth shot.
Yeah. Yep. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Yeah. I'll admit I also laughed when they told, you know, Hera to get low. I definitely was like
I'm kind of scared right now. I mean, you asking that what else do we have to talk about? More to the point, I'm kind of scared of this. We're beyond the halfway point. There's only 3 episodes left. And when this is all said and done, I'm going to feel the same way like when I did when The Last of Us finished that episode. Something that is like really near and dear to my heart story-wise, and especially Ahsoka with my wife as an Ahsoka cosplayer and is so close to her. Once this is done, it's going to be heartbreaking that I could go back and rewatch it, but I won't be able to ever to experience it. I will not be able to experience it for the first time ever again. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
I do.
I have been watching this. There's another galaxy and there's something going on over there. Story build for like a decade now. I'm just so happy this is finally happening. Like, I'm so tired of waiting to see what's going on with the Grist. So I'm thrilled. I can't wait to see what the next 3 episodes are. We're going to a new galaxy. It's crazy.
I gotta get a reading list from you, AR, and I gotta get on the same.
Oh God!
like I have a bunch of them, but it's like shooting a shotgun, scattergun shot at all.
Yeah, there are so many, and I really could give you like the really, really good ones. Obviously the 6 Thrawns, and the 9 Thrawn if you want to really, read the first 3 too, where he's definitely way meaner. And then everyone should read Bloodlines. That basically does the best job explaining how Leia became politically toxic, making it so that the First Order could take root by being like, this chick is Darth Vader's daughter and we're listening to her. Did you guys know she has force powers? Like, they really smear her in a way that makes sense in the books, and it's really nice to see them like paying. That's really the main book where you see the demilitarization storyline around the Republic. So that one's really good to check out. And, after that, a lot of the other ones are just fun. But, like, ones that really matter to this and to the future, everyone, Timothy Zahn is truly driving the story right now, in my opinion.
It's exciting stuff. I just picked up Heir to the Empire this past weekend for Batman Day. We went to my LCS. We went to the other comic shop in town, Top Dog, and we went to Second and Charles, and while I was at Second and Charles, I came across it. I checked all three, but I started reading that because I just got the itch. I'm like, I want more. I love that feeling when you watch something or you see something, you're like, it's not enough. I need more. That's why I'm collecting all of Volume 1 of Transformers. I picked that up. It's just fun enjoying Star Wars again. Like that's what I'm just so grateful for this show to have done that. The first couple episodes were solid, but these last two just really just peaked. I've been watching binge watching Rebels even, and watched some of the. I watched episode 7 today. It's still garbage, but
I will say that's what I knew this show was doing really good, because you've watched a bunch of Star Wars, and I personally have been like, you need to watch Rebels for, months, and this one seems like it's given a lot of people the bug where they're like, all right, I'm going to go see what this is all about.
Yeah, I started it like not this week, but last week. I'm on season 2, episode 15. The kids are loving it too.
And I agree with you aggressively too. I think Timothy Zahn is absolutely driving the expanded universe too, which is kind of funny because he's the one who started it all off all those many years ago. He wrote the first, expanded universe book, which was Heir to the Empire. So it all
you
comes
see a
full
lot
circle.
of this actually, where they did a good job of bringing people who knew Star Wars in, and letting Timothy just have another crack at this character, and he was like, yes please, I'll write. Well, like I said, there must be at this point 68 hours of just Thrawn book, and with the app Libby, I say this all the time to everyone, with the app Libby and the library card, you can listen to your area's collection of Star Wars audiobooks today, and they are great with like all of the sound effects. It is for everyone here who like listens to YouTube as like a pastime. I think you really would enjoy Star Wars books, and there's a bunch of really short ones to jump into to like get ready to jump into one of these 16-hour long Thrawn stories that are definitely worth it. But
I came to the realization that all of the Dark Horse licensed properties, they were all novels and stuff, and Dark Horse has such a long run on Star Wars, and all those novels, they were made into comics. That's all the comics for like Alien, Predator, Star Wars, it's all just the comic version of the novel. So if you don't want to listen to an audiobook, there's tons of material out there that you can get in affordable trade paperbacks and dive into a lot of this. That's what I was looking at over the weekend. I'm like, oh, that's this book. That's why I decided to get the Heir to the Empire trade paperback. It even says it. It says based on the best-selling novel by Timothy Zahn. It's the same story. So depending on how you like to get it, it's available in multiple formats.
Dark Horse actually did a lot more of it too. And one of the things I thought was funny was for the longest time, Dark Horse did not really have a Star Wars proper book. Just Star Wars, that had Luke Skywalker and Leia and Han. It was like, they did Empire, they did Rebellion, they did all these, little mini series and all these other things, but they didn't really have a Star Wars proper book for a long time, which I thought was kind of odd.
Well, now there's more Star Wars books than you can shake a stick at.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, there always has been. This, the book came out first with Star Wars actually, and you can go back and see like it's where the like the book not caring about what the movie and the movie not caring about what the book starts with the very first Star Wars book and the very first Star Wars movie. The script that they gave that guy, I can't think of his name right now, but they brought him back too a few times. The original writer for the original Star Wars book. But Luke's lightsaber's a different color. There's other discrepancies in those books, and it started from there and went on basically where the movies never cared about what the books were doing. But nowadays, what's great is that all the Disney Star Wars stuff is just unashamedly using all of this EU stuff. Like I was so thrilled to see the brains in a jar robots in Boba Fett, because they showed up in the Tales from Boba Fett's Palace from like 1994. And I remember hearing, it's a crazy story that Jabba the Hutt had stolen that place from all these monks who put their brains in a jar and were very peaceful. And then Jabba just took the palace and let them just hang out. And you see one just kind of walking around in the background. So yeah, right now, current legends, as they call it, what's great about it is no matter what Star Wars thing you consume, even if it's something really old, there's a good chance you'll see a little love letter to it in the new stuff.
Mm-hmm. And one of the last things that Dark Horse did just before the license moved over to Marvel was they actually took George Lucas's original ideas and did it. It was called Luke Starkiller was the guy's name, and they took all of those his original ideas and did it was it's almost like a Star Wars Elseworld type thing. It was really good.
And now Dark Horse has Star Wars back in the comics. They're doing like what was supposed to be, it was like pitched as being YA, but it's like really violent when you read it. I've read a couple of them so far. And I wonder if that's going to kind of backdoor some of the other Dark Horse stories into canon.
Could be. Yeah.
Because yeah, they'd taken it from, what is it, IDW, I think was doing it. Kind of like I said, kind of young reader comics, and then gave that to Dark Horse. So I'm hoping, yeah, that some of the other Dark Horse stuff gets like reprinted and they kind of say, oh yeah, this happened too. Because yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in the old Dark Horse comics.
Well, you guys want to shift gears here?
Last thing I want to talk about on this, I just have one last thing to say about this episode. I love the acting, not just from young Ahsoka, who was young Gamora in the Avengers movies, and also she played in Barbie, which I recently watched, and Barbie was fantastic. But the way that, and like I think Hayden Christensen killed it in this episode. Like his acting was like perfect in my opinion, and like both those scenes, like with Ariana playing young Ahsoka and Hayden playing Anakin, it was just them playing off each other was fantastic, and I absolutely it was like that. It was a masterpiece. There's a reason why that this was definitely screened in theaters, because this was cinematic, in my opinion.
Yeah,
for sure.
I wish they could get the dialogue gap issue fixed. I wish someone would have said like, tighten this up. Because even the thumbnail in the background, that scene when Ahsoka and Anakin are just standing there talking, like I started counting, like while I was watching it. I could count between 3 to 5 seconds between one stopping and the other one starting talking. And that's really just like a multiple camera issue happening, I think. I don't think that's intentional at all. Just feels like loose editing.
I finally got BB-8 to work. Oh God.
Hey.
Nice.
Did you get the map out of him?
Man, I can't get nothing out of this thing. He's just doing his own thing right now. Oh, jeez.
Whoa.
Yeah, what else do you guys want to talk about? Star Trek comics? You guys all watch Lower Decks this week?
Yes.
No.
That was awesome, right?
It was. Lower Decks is so good.
What platform is that one on? Apple?
Paramount Plus.
Paramount
I
Plus.
have that. And that's the
Paramount
spoof
Plus
show, right? That's just a parody show of Star Trek.
It's got enough heart, and it's canon.
It's canon. It's basically it's done by one of the guys who helped do Rick and Morty, and you can tell by it is so funny. It is so you just I just laughed for half an hour. It's just like, and when they did the live episode crossover with Strange New Worlds, oh my God,
it was
like.
It was better than the singing episode this year.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Weren't a lot of people upset about that musical episode?
Those people are incorrect.
Yeah, there is no. I said this before. There is no more creative show on any streaming platform currently than Strange New Worlds.
Yeah,
is that the live action? That's the live action.
That's live action. Yep.
Yeah, that's the captain before Kirk, a guy named Pike.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
familiar.
yeah, he famous. People probably know him from Family Guy as the guy who was stuck in a tube where 1 beep means yes and 2 beeps mean no. He famously gets stuck in a horrible situation, and you get to heroically watch him, go towards that future, knowing that he's going to go from being, handsome, amazing Star Trek captain to guy stuck in the tube from Family Guy. So we'll see if they change time though, which is what they're teasing.
Were you a fan of the J.J. Abrams films?
Yeah, definitely. I like the Kelvin verse stuff, and I really hope they give them another movie because like that group of actors now, incredible. Like, come on, calm down, BB-8.
BB-8 does not like when you talk about Star Trek.
I know you're embarrassing me in public.
I was a huge fan of those. I liked them a lot. I thought Beyond was good, but I think that the first one was phenomenal, and I loved Into Darkness as well. But that first one just it left me shocked in theaters. I didn't know what to expect going into it, and just that opening, like it just set the tone flawlessly.
Into Darkness is the movie that can bring out the negative fan in me. I have to admit, that's the one where I start getting real like, it was crap.
I mean, I loved it.
What'd they do to Khan? This is ridiculous. But
yeah,
it's fine.
Not every Star Trek movie was a home run, that's for sure.
Yeah, the worst Trek is better than the best everything else.
I totally agree.
What did y'all think of the Aquaman Lost Kingdom trailer that dropped this week?
Loved it.
Yeah, loved it. Can't wait.
It's like the one DC movie I'll pay to go see before it drops out of theaters because it looks so good.
Yes, I'm loving hearing the positivity. So Aquaman was one of the first movies that I went back and saw twice, like an opening weekend. I just had to go right back and see it. Like me and Pops, of course, saw it on the premiere, and then like the next day we went back again to see it with my buddy Brent. And it's for the definitive DC ranking list. It's number 4 behind the Snyder trilogy, being 1, 2, and 3. And that's a non-negotiable list, by the way. But I thought the Aquaman franchise just kind of has it all well balanced, from the lost history stuff to the beautiful sets and design of Atlantis. And I just like the way Momoa does Aquaman. Like you get a little bit of like that lightheartedness to it. You get a little bit of that gritty Peter David era stuff to it. But I don't know. I think Aquaman is one of the most underutilized big name characters at DC. And me and Paul, this gets mentioned a lot. Like whenever he happens to appear in something, like maybe we'll finally get Aquaman back. But having this movie coming out, I'm hoping that it translates over to comics. I wanted to see him in comics as well, but the movie looked great to me. Getting the little bromance style thing with him and Orm, I'm excited about. And I don't know if y'all saw it, but McFarlane dropped the whole wave of figures, and you get a good look at King Korvac there, and almost like a Pirates of the Caribbean Davy Jones looking stuff on him, and you get these mega figures of like a sunken citadel pirate. So we're going to get all kinds of creatures, and they even did Aquaman Seahorse, which I'm definitely Team Seahorse, guys.
Yeah, man, Storm is majestic.
I
love that thing.
I thought they were going to do, I really thought it was going to be like a Build-A-Storm type of a thing that they were going to do.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they also did, they've announced one gold label figure, which are typically exclusive, and they did them with previous stuff, like with, they did one with Flash where they did the gold label. It was just a darker paint suit, but they did Aquaman in a stealth suit, but he has like translucent arms and legs because apparently the suit is like has like invisible cloaking stuff on it, and it comes with the little octopus. What's his name?
Topo.
Yeah, the octopus that can play the drums in the comics that they Easter egged in the first movie. So
coming to Target.
Yeah, it's coming straight to my house because I had my wife order it online. Yeah, so I got the whole
cut out the middleman.
Yeah, I got the whole set coming. Pop says that Wrath of Khan is the best Star Wars movie ever.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
I'm iffy on Aquaman. I'm a little hesitant on it.
What?
speak further, but speak cautiously. I'm just kidding. What gave you that feeling?
You're on mute if you're.
I kind of felt like it was a little bit like gave me a little bit of vibes of Thor the Thor
Dark
Love and
World?
Thunder.
Oh,
No,
Love and Thunder.
I was yeah, it gave me a little bit of vibes of that. Just it's kind of goofy a little bit. And I was a little worried, but I'm still gonna go see it in theaters. This is one movie I'm definitely gonna go see in theaters.
Yeah, it had those lighthearted moments in the first one, and I think that they have an opportunity with him because they mentioned it in the trailer, like how he's like the king of underwater with all these millions of peoples and creatures. But even in the books, like he's the king because it's his birthright. He's not the king because the people want to see him there. And I think there's going to be massive dissension about him being in a position of power. He's going to be trying to do the best he can. I think you're going to see him failing at it, kind of thing. And we get to it, there's a lot of parallels with a character like Thor leading Asgard, and is he worthy of it? And the same thing with Arthur. That's just character parallels that exist. I don't know how
few times we saw Aquaman, it was in a comedic area.
Mm-hmm. Even in the Aquaman movie, a lot of it was comedic. But man, when he grit his teeth and got down to it, that made those moments hit a lot harder. At least for me. And yeah, we're getting introduced to what looked to me like the sun.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying like that. I guess Lauren Rad's saying Black Manta kills Aquaman's son. I hope they kill Mera.
Well, I saw a kid, and I immediately
as you guys can see, they didn't see her at all. Like we seen her, the back of her head at one point in the trailer, and then her punching the glass. That was it. That's all we've seen of Amber Turd.
Yeah, I saw that he had a kid, and I immediately thought, "Oh, that guy's losing a hand."
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Like, how far are they going to take this, knowing that it's just a one-off movie? But the Trident was mentioned. Black Manta having the Trident. They're bringing in magic, which, for those that don't know, like the origin of magic in DC Comics comes from Atlantis. So, like, that's super exciting to me. Like, I think we're going to get all kinds of stuff. Like, I think that's what they're going to do with Korvac, because he goes back to like ancient Atlantis stuff with like Orm's parents and beyond, right, and all that. Like, he's got like blood feuds with the royal family.
Arion, I think, was the guy in DC Comics, right? That the first magic. And read the Atlantis Chronicles if you ever get a chance to read something about Atlantis and you want to dig into the history of Atlantis.
The last one made $1 billion, right?
It made over $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
And that was not because of like, oh, it was, that like there was no special circumstance. It just made that off the back of, wow, that Aquaman movie was really cool. And it's the same exact team. If this makes $1 billion again, that's what I've been seeing, like, this is the end of the, Snyder era. But, like, I mean,
James Wan has said that, right? James Wan has said that he wants to create a whole Aquaman universe.
Yeah, a lot of that got canceled already, too, what they were talking about early on.
Right, because they were supposed to do a movie called The Trench. Yeah, and what they said, he ended up taking a lot of the stuff that was in The Trench and moving it into the Aquaman movie because it got canceled.
And we know about James Wan, too, that he's made the Conjuring universe. So I bet he does want to make another shared universe that he could sit back and just put his name on and collect a paycheck from. But he did a fantastic job. Say what?
I'm not familiar with the Conjuring had a universe that.
That's a whole universe with like the Nun.
Yeah, they have. The Nun, Annabelle too. Like, and the Nun 2 is out now and stuff. But like they have like a certain way to watch them. It's like the Nun, then it was Annabelle the beginning, and then Nun 2, and then it's a whole universe that didn't start with the Nun. It started with the Conjuring, but he's that's why you have the same the guy who plays the Aquaman's brother is in the Conjuring.
I had no idea. Is he like a producer on all these things?
Well, he started him as director and stuff, and now it's his universe kind of thing. So I believe that he's a big producer on it.
Well, that guy's making money. Then yeah, they're gonna let him do whatever he wants, right?
Also, like, do you think that if this movie does well, will we see Jason Momoa showing back up as Aquaman in the future? Because, like, in The Flash, spoilers, if you guys have not watched The Flash, at the ending, it was a different Aquaman than we're going to be introduced to in this movie, because that Aquaman was a drunk. And he was, like, seemed like he was having a bad time, unless that took place right after the events of this movie. So
that looked like pre-Steppenwolf Aquaman, because like this character has that huge arc from like in the before the Justice League form to after the Justice League form. He took a huge arc from like pre-Steppenwolf to the end of Aquaman.
Well, like the surprise cameo at the very end of Flash was cute, but
damaging.
There's implications to Aquaman, right? And Blue Beetle, like there has been a world that has been changed where Ben Affleck's gone unless Barry went and tried to fix it again, right?
It has to, or otherwise George Clooney's Batman,
which is fine by me. I will totally they give George another movie, another crack at it.
Yeah. He still has to pay off his Batman credit card.
Never leave home without it.
There is a scene in that movie where he rides was it Batman and Robin? Where he rides a telescope down the side of a building, and like the cape's behind him, and for a split second, it's like a real wide shot. He's saving these two scientists, and it is, I'd put it up against like any modern Batman shot. It is so good. There's this one moment of Batman and Robin. I'll put it like in the chat and stuff for you guys to see. But it's just like such a beautiful, perfect Batman shot of him riding this thing and being heroic. Yeah, I like the Schumacher movies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the no nipple suits, please.
It's distracting.
I'm glad that we just got I'm glad that we got a trailer, because like there was thoughts of it like being pushed back again from the December time slot. So it was good to see like a trailer and confirm that we are.
It looks like the DCU has been bucking all the strike stuff. Like they're rolling with Aquaman still. James Gunn through the strike was posting all kinds of stuff still about working on Superman Legacy. And just this week they posted that Creature Commandos, despite everything, is still 100% on schedule and releasing on time, which I couldn't be more excited for. Hashtag raise the flag. We got Frank Grillo coming in as Rick Flag Sr. I think that's going to be fantastic.
The animation writers fall under a different union, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when it comes to James Gunn, everything falls under a different.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, he had this. I think he had it written before the strike happened.
You have to have all those things written a long time, and because it takes so long to actually animate them, that they have to be written a long time before. So,
well, that's the joke I was going to make, is that you started seeing in the news that like, oh, the strikes are coming, and then James Gunn Instagram is just like a bunch of piles of paper. It's like, oh, this is a finished script. I knocked it out. Don't worry, guys.
I'll get it done.
Nothing to see here. It's already done.
Oh, wow. So Adventures Joe just sent me a link to where somebody's put up like Heir to the Empire being told in animation. I'll share it with you guys. That's pretty cool. British filmmaker who got started in 2002 animating Falling into Darkness, and he followed that up with some other stuff. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
Wow, that's a Star Wars thing I haven't heard of. But yeah, I can't wait. That's neat.
We also did get a trailer from another DC show that's coming, Kite Man.
Hell yeah.
Kite Man.
Yeah. This came out of left. I don't know. Did anybody else expect the Kite Man series?
Are you guys serious? I hadn't seen this. Like spin-off.
Yeah.
of
Oh,
Harley
you
Quinn?
definitely need to watch that afterwards. It's so funny how he
Okay.
it starts off the trailer like it's definitely not for kids. It's like definitely not masturbating. Like, what?
It looks ridiculous. It's just Harley Quinn. It's full on Harley Quinn. Yeah, Frank Grillo is big mad at the House of Mouse for how his career was handled by them. Yeah, I'm not surprised that he was happy to come do something else elsewhere. He doesn't do too many big things anyway. He was not happy with how things went over there, with what he was told and opportunities he said no to take that one based off what he was told, and then didn't play out like he was told. All right, well, y'all got any books y'all want to hit on before we head out of here?
Well, tomorrow on our deep dive, we'll take a look at the Gotham War prelude, and we'll take a look at, because it's just a prelude, we'll take a look at Gargoyle of Gotham.
I do want to say this is something unique, something special.
Right.
If you're not a DC person, if you're not like a big Batman fan, I heavily recommend checking this out. Stands on its own, just a few issues. It's under Black Label, so it's definitely mature content. The phenomenal artist Rafael Grampa got his first writing gig at DC, so he's doing the art and the writing for it, and it marries perfectly. Like the pacing, the tone is very reminiscent of the Matt Reeves universe. It's chilling at times, and he's carving out his own style of Batman and Gotham and rogues and everything. This was an absolute treat to read.
Yeah, I just read that today too. It was say at least it was pretty freaking graphic a lot of the times, and I'm curious to know who this new character is. I know that he was like and the way it ends. So it is a Black Label, so you will see like it's earlier days of Bruce Wayne. So you get him like just kind of coming back into it. The whole GCPD still doesn't fully trust him, except for why can't I think of his name right now? Gordon. Yeah.
Jim Gordon.
Yeah, he's the only one that really trusts Batman right now. And then you have Batman, like, kind of like, also Alfred's there, but you have Batman also like weighing, like, should he kill off Bruce Wayne? Should he go and move forward in that? And like he's set and dead set on killing off Bruce Wayne, and has it already like set up in the newspapers and that. And then you have Alfred trying to convince him not to. So I really like this. It's definitely a lot better than the Batman and Robin I read this week.
Yeah, speaking of that, Batman and Robin was solid. We had a brand new issue #1 come out. Joshua Williamson at the helm. Batman and Damian are back again, teamed up, trying to figure out how life looks after all the events of the past couple of years. And touching on that father-son dynamic, that was solid. Simone DeMeo did all the artwork, so it's dynamic. The art feels fast-paced, and it's them kind of tying it in. They're definitely keeping it in continuity with what's going on with the Gotham War. So Batman's got no house, or saying in his little other house. I mean, he's got houses. Dude's got houses. He can't go broke, but they're not in the main mansion, and the entire Bat family and them are at odds. At pretty much boring. Andy, did you pick up anything this week?
I'm sure I did. I don't know where I put them. I usually leave them right here to finish going over them, and my comics are just gone. So
you got.
I did.
Aggressive, do you pick up Comics Weekly?
Oh, he's
I
on
don't think
mute.
he's there.
Oh, he's on mute.
Speak on Batman and Robin. I didn't enjoy it. I felt myself getting bored with this issue. I don't know why, but yeah, I'm gonna read issue 2 and see where it takes me. But I wasn't. I didn't like this as much as like Batman Gargoyle or World's Finest Teen Titans.
Green Lantern. Very fast issue to read. It goes by like this, but basically we have Sinestro back on Earth. We have him basically. He meets up with some people who are not from the Earth, but have been hiding out on Earth. And at the very end, we are promised. What's that?
It was lizard people, all
With
the way
lizard
down
people.
to hologram covers.
Yeah.
It was straight up conspiracy theory lizard people.
Right. And we end with basically promising next issue we'll have a Hal versus Sinestro face-off. And then the backup story is the third of three stories that are setting up the new Green Lantern War Journal. We basically have the Queen Revenant coming to Earth, and we have the Green Lantern of the Earth that we have been on is being told that he needs to go to Earth to find John Stewart to basically deal with him. But the other thing I wanted to mention is
that was a massive twist to set up that the Guardian has been an alternate universe John this whole time.
Right. If you bought any DC Comics this week, you probably also saw the 5-issue preview of Tom King's Wonder Woman. It kind of quickly sets up what's gonna lead to everything that we've been hearing about in the Wonder Woman title. So that was pretty cool as well.
Pretty violent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, also to touch on Jeremy Adams' Green Lantern, they did a lot of question answering and question adding. We know that Earth is quarantined to the rest of the universe when it comes to the Green Lantern Corps by the United Planet. So the Green Lanterns that are there are stuck there. They have no access to the power battery. They touched on like the Hal flying to a certain elevation, his ring cut off. He doesn't know why. He touched on how is it still staying charged, and touched back to like that Jeff Johns era stuff where he can actually will his ring to charge. He's got so much willpower. And it makes me wonder what's going to go on with the other lanterns and stuff. So they're finally touching on some of the quarantine stuff. It feels good to be back after the Night Terror stuff. I really enjoyed it. I was happy with it once I got into it. But now that we're past it, I'm remembering immediately why I didn't want to do Night Terrors. And I'm so glad to be back on track with this regular Dawn of DC stuff because it's hitting on a lot of cylinders. Aggressive, what do you got over there?
Yeah. So, like, I just want to talk real quick about how something Star Wars can stop doing, which is putting out books that are just a complete retelling of the TV show. I don't know if you guys have seen that with what is it, The Mandalorian?
That's why I stopped getting The Mandalorian. Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. This is so disappointing. Like, I would appreciate if they were to throw in, like a panel or two of like, something interesting young Leia can say, more detail or something. But no, it's just, a shot for shot, it might as well, I could see like some poor artist tracing, so
just have their paper on their big screen, just tracing the show.
This is supposed to be the first appearance of like Reva. Yeah. Reva? I'm not sure. But the point is, I think the Mando has the very first appearance of a couple characters too, and I think that's BS. I hate those like retellings of things.
I'm a huge movie adaptation fan. Like I like when they do stuff like that, but I wonder how it would hit different if I was picking up a monthly title versus normal movie adaptations or show adaptations. They normally put out in a collector, like here's the whole thing, adaptation kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pick them all up because there's a little bit more value in. I don't know if Mark can speak to this, but as my son and I watch the Star Wars content, he's 6 right now and learning how to read. So we'll watch the shows and then we'll turn around and I'll hand him the comic book and he's like, "Oh, Dad, I remember watching this," and I think it's helping him read, learn how to read a little bit. I don't know about better.
My kid's been stuck on these. Finn and Monkey are both stuck on these, and Finn got his Darth Vader Halloween costume today. But these Star Wars adventure things, these are dope. Like Andor was actually in another one that they had. Like, so there's some cool content in these too. I don't know if y'all ever actually read any of these, but these are what I'm doing with Finn when it's not a Godzilla book right now.
Yeah, the other day I did buy like a trade paperback version of it was like Batman Returns, and I found that like in a quarter bin at my shop. So I am a hypocrite, but I am irritated at buying this monthly. Like you put the nail on the head, which is just like it's a bit of a letdown. And I felt the same way when Mando came out, where I was hoping I'd just get a little bit more. But the other big thing that I was going to show is a new Star Trek comic started. It's been called Picard's Academy. And then the other one that started recently is Strange New Worlds, has a comic now. I know we were talking about that earlier. And it's got Mike Allred does not do the interior, but it's Star Trek and Mike Allred artwork. So
that sounds like a perfect combination.
Yeah, that's all of my favorite things. But I really recommend this run so far. But those are the things that I've
Andy, I know you like track down more of the first appearance and stuff like that. And Aggressive, you be aware of this, and probably Paul too. But when you're looking up some of these Star Wars characters' first appearances, they're not really recognized by CGC, or they're not really recognized by Google. Even, for example, one that I would love to have in the collection is the first appearance of Mace Windu. I love Mace Windu. I got the first appearance of Jango Fett recently, and it wasn't even recognized as his first appearance. You just have to do like a little researching. But the first
You're
thing,
right though, that's it.
What is it?
Yeah, you're right though. That was the first, as far as I'm concerned, and the very first. Who are you saying there? Oh God, what is that Jedi's name?
Mace Windu.
Yeah, Mace Windu. Yeah, his first appearance is also Dark Horse, in my opinion.
So,
but there is a lot of shiesty first appearance info for Star
is
Wars.
actually in a movie, the movie adaptation. They did the 3 or 4 issue movie adaptation for Attack of the Clones, which that's Mace Windu's first appearance in comic books timeline wise, but it's not recognized. And then outside of that movie adaptation miniseries, the first time you see him is in just his one shot Mace Windu, which is recognized as God, who is it? Ventress? Is it recognized? It recognizes her first appearance, but not anyone else.
Well, that's kind of the thing, right? Like there's no governing body that says, yep, this is it, and everybody agrees on it. Look at what CDC is doing with newsstand books now. For years and decades, there was never a moniker that said, oh, hey, look, this is a newsstand. Now over the last, I think, a year and a half, now it says newsstand. I don't know if it's the community and the volume of books being requested to say newsstand on it as you're punching it in, or if there's just Matt Nielsen or somebody there makes the decision, hey, we're going to do this now, but there's no real governing body as far as like, that's why you constantly have the 180, 181 debate between people. So there's no,
I just thought it was mad crazy to not have a massive character like Mace Windu or Jango Fett have a book in existence.
I agree.
First appearance.
I wholeheartedly agree with you 1,000,000%. But because there's no governing body to state, yes, this is going to be it, and this is going to the day it's going to be instituted in all graded comic books across the companies, there's nobody left to steer that ship, and it just kind of happens via the community somehow, some magical way. I don't know.
It's up to us to stop the 180 thing to happen.
Yeah,
again.
well, look at.
I think it was your show,
but then
Andy, that was.
You also have something like Key Collector.
So Key Collector. Let me pull you over, Paul. So Key Collector, did you do Mace or who'd you do?
No, this is Star Wars number 30. Okay, this is Star Wars number 30, and it says the first line says first appearance of Nile droids. The second line says first appearance of unnamed characters.
All right, so here's if you specifically search in Key Collector, even because I can get like the governing body, but Key Collector's thing is to find this stuff, and they often jump the gun.
Key Collector doesn't find it. Key Collector, they pay people for all that, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? That's the purpose of this app. Like they have people that send them stuff, people like Paula sent them edits and all this, but it's a place where this information gets funneled to. And if you search Mace Windu, a very, very prominent Star Wars character, very prominent. He killed Jango Fett. Savage. You search Mace Windu, it doesn't it doesn't have the episode 2 adaptation, but it has that Mace Windu book, and when you click on it, it has the first appearance of Asajj Ventress, first appearance of Cyan Jezel, and nothing about Mace. Like he doesn't even have a first appearance recognizing.
Well, maybe you should rally the troops and be the full charge tip of the spear to make that change, buddy.
Yeah, we'll be the change we want.
I never understood how people actually send that information to them, but I just thought it was wild. It was wild. I was trying to buy the first appearance of Django and the first appearance of Mace, and I don't know what.
Well, look at nothing anywhere on CDC denotes that of the second appearance of Ahsoka. First appearance of Ahsoka and Captain Rex on Clone Wars 1, Clone Wars 2, 3, any of the other books, they don't denote second or third appearance, or the waters get muddied with some discussions a little bit too.
Yeah. I think
it's been like this for a while, and no one cares about Star Trek. We were talking on Andy's channel the other day. There's like 3 competing first Bo-Katans right now.
Yeah.
That's wild. I didn't know it was so convoluted like that over in the Star Wars game.
Well, I mean, it's convoluted everywhere. Star Wars, Star Trek, you name it, and it's denoted. The clear winners has always been based on print date, but then the last 3 or 4 years, print dates, that shit got thrown out of the window and got all jammed because print date versus actual delivery because of things being shut down due to COVID. That screwed up a lot of stuff too.
Yeah. I just assumed because Star Wars, especially in the past few years, is just so massive. It has such a large footprint. It's definitely its own entity competing with like the capes, over at Marvel and DC. Star Wars is doing big things all the time, and a lot of these shows, and with how big the fandom is for it, I just assumed that had to be like something that was like written in as much stone as it can be, knowing that there are like plenty of discrepancies out there and debatable things, but there's some things that just haven't even been. There's so much that hasn't even been determined.
You're totally right. There's all these angry Star Wars nerds, but they haven't, laid out the basics yet.
There's like 60% of the Star Wars fandom doesn't give a jack squat about the comic books and couldn't care less.
Yeah.
And then they hate.
I'd say the same thing about like Marvel fans. It's just they watch the movies and they like the characters, but they don't necessarily collect the comics. But yeah, I expect it to kind of get a little bit higher too with how Disney's doing the full canon across all media. You know what I mean? With Star Wars, which that's the only thing doing that. Comics, like Marvel comics, don't do that. DC comics don't do that. But Star Wars is taking on the most massive undertaking continuity wise I've ever seen. Like that's impressive.
There is like a tree that you can go and tie a ribbon around and make a wish at like the galaxy's edge that have, like its own lore and background that you would only know if you've read, comics and books. Like, yeah, it goes so deep and how all these things are interacting with each other. Like High Republic lore showing up in the, new recent video game with that red-haired fella.
Yep.
I think of his name. Kestis.
Cal Kestis, yeah.
That yeah, there's so many. I don't want to confuse him with the guy from the original multimedia push from the 90s, where you had the guy on N64 with his own books and comics.
Dash Rendar?
Yeah, exactly. So like there's this
you think you're going to confuse me with Nintendo 64, bro?
That's why I brought it up. It was like the 64 things. Bail me out. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I've got all the Star Wars game on N64. Rogue Squadron, Pod Racers.
That's the first time they tried it, and now that they're trying to do it, like Star Wars right now is telling one story using like 5 or 6 mediums, all like over a period of 2,000 years. And really, if you look at it, like 100,000 years of history that they've locked down, it is a really, really impressive art project.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to try to figure it out. I'm going to try to send something to Key Collector and see if we can't nail this down. There's strength in numbers, so I might reach out to Paul and ask him, how do you tell Key Collector why isn't this there? But don't do it yet. I want to purchase the book. I want to submit to them as the first appearance before we do this.
Well, you know what the big disconnect is, right? You know why Key Collector is so good at covering some characters versus others? It's screen time. The look at why Key Collector was created, right?
I just assumed it was whatever comic Tom was trying to sell that week.
This Key Collector was created long before them and Comic Tom got together. Key Collector was created by Nick, and I can't remember his last name, but he built a bridge with Tom like a year or two after he created the app because it was a way to get the app out to the people that he thought it would be useful for. It's just about getting the information faster, whereas everybody that considered themselves true comic book fans knew all this information, grew up on it, retained it, and learned it. And that was part of the trials and tribulations of becoming a comic book fan or being a comic book fan over a long period of time.
Over Street Price Guide.
That's your street cred, right? You knew all these first appearances, second appearances, origins. You knew your characters. You knew your fandom. That's your street cred. And what Key Collector did is they put all of that 20, 30 years worth of work that everybody did in the hobby into the palm of everybody's hand and essentially put everybody on the same playing field so that everybody that spent 20, 30 years building that street cred knowledge, they just took all of that away and said, hey, your knowledge is now in the palm of your hand in any mobile device. And that's just a growing pain everybody had to learn with. But the reason why Key Collector is so good at covering some characters over others is simply because they were pushing whatever information was hitting the screen, what everybody was searching for, what everybody wanted to know about, because it was helping them with the brand recognition, getting the app out. That's why you don't see first appearance of Mace Windu, because Mace Windu isn't really a big thing anybody's talking about. That's water under the bridge, right?
I mention him regularly.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get it.
I think that's what they can do going forward over the next.
They got to stay topical to get people to need to use it. Yeah.
Well, they do need to stay topical to stay at the forefront of the discussion. But what they need to do is for the fandom, for everybody, shore up everything they're falling behind on. Their pricing they're falling way behind on that doesn't get updated regularly. So either get rid of it or make it automated within their vehicle, and B, get Mace Windu in there. Get all the second appearances, origins. Get all the rest of the stuff in there that the fandom is knows about, agrees upon, but it's not being backed up in there, because otherwise you're providing. It's not really false information, but if you're not painting the whole picture when you're trying to paint the picture to everybody coming in, what's going to happen? Everybody that built up the street creds over the 30 years is going to have the complete picture, and everybody else is only going to have. Growing up in this Key Collector app version is only going to have the bits and pieces that Key Collector thought was important. So it's going to be incomplete. And that's a disservice to the fandom. And that's a disservice to the comic collecting community in the future. Because like you're going to have your math teacher teach you half the problem and then expect you to go on and get it done later. That's a whole nother. Oh God, I got into a whole nother thing.
Yo, I liked it. That was intense.
My headache's gone though.
Nice.
But you know what's funny is, like, I just thought to look it up, that Star Wars Attack of the Clones miniseries, they credit that as the first appearance of Kit Fisto, Shaak Ti, Count Dooku. So there's just no consistency. Maybe just someone, just like you said, maybe this hasn't been on their to-do list and they did it when somebody brought it to their attention, maybe, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
There's a lot of money to be made in Star Wars, and misinformation helps. There's not a whole lot of rush to, you just put the nail on the head. Everyone was given, you can go figure out what Avenger and whatever Batman you care about. And, I think a lot of people recognize that as a mistake, maybe. And maybe we should, be quiet about the first appearances of things. But, to this day, you can go pick up, a first appearance of Rey and a bunch of other Star Wars characters, for like $10.
Yeah. It's like, you're right. I think you're right. Maybe we shouldn't be having that conversation or making it self-perpetuating first, second, origin, whatever, and just let people learn what they're going to learn and let us know what we're going to know or try to move on. And I don't know.
I personally would never be caught dead pulling my phone out in a comic store. That's just a point of pride.
Where do you keep your list then? I don't carry around a pencil and paper anymore. My list is wait till you hit 41, 42, 43 and you're gonna be like, huh? Like
I guarantee you I won't. I am my father's son. And if you know my dad, if you've had the opportunity to talk to I know you met him but if you had the opportunity to talk books, like That's just where I get that part of my brain from. Once I lock it in there, something about this hobby and our brains, and I can do the same thing with movies that I'm into and all that stuff. It's just once it's there, man.
Gotta keep lists on notes or something on my phone because there's just too much going on in my head.
Now, like the books that are in the PC kind of thing, that's different. Like I have the CLZ app, but the only thing that's updated and accurate in it is just my Hulk run, because that's all I'm at. Then I updated Transformers because those two runs I'm actually currently trying to complete, and other stuff that I'm trying to complete, it's only missing like a book, like I just completed Swamp Thing, like by getting his first appearance in House of Secrets. I knew we needed that one. You don't rightly forget that. Oh, I need the first appearance of Swamp Thing. Same thing with Ghost Rider. All that's left is that Marvel spotlight. Most things but those random filler issues and long runs, I have those written down.
So you do have a list.
No, I look at
the CLZ. Yeah.
I'm definitely looking at the spreadsheet before I get out of the car.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not going to look when I get in there, though. Yeah. I used to until like 2 or 3 years ago, I hadn't had CLZ long. I actually just would, I would do like he's talking about. Like I would look and like, I'm hoping to go find this out there today kind of thing. And I would write down the number of 5-10 issues that I'm missing. And I would go look. And if I forgot which ones they were, I'd have like a little piece of paper, like you said, or a little book.
I caved in about 2.5 years ago because I got tired of coming home and finding the same damn book already in the short box. I'm like, damn it, I did it again. And at one point in that Punisher Volume 2 run, I was fishing around and buying stuff. I got 6 copies of the same book because I just like, I'll remember it. No, I kept buying the same. So it's like now I religiously keep my phone on me anytime I go comic book hunting to have those lists available because I just don't want to keep throwing money out the window on books I already have, so to speak.
Yeah, I've definitely bought a couple Uncannies a few times as an X-Men collector. Pride before the fall.
Yeah, dude, I do want to hit on a couple more of these books because there's a couple that are most certainly worth mentioning. I don't know who else has been just absolutely loving this series, Danger Street by Tom King. And this is the issue I've been waiting on. It's been building up to this epic showdown between the Manhunter and the Assassin, and they swerved everybody in the greatest way possible. And it was a battle of philosophical wit that ended in just utter destruction and bloodshed. It was just those two, one-on-one, mano-a-mano. It was a beautiful issue, and it had like a Tales from the Crypt ending almost, like where the fight never ends for these two, but they're both laying there dead at the end. It was gorgeous. Look at this. He's got a friend.
I need to catch up on Danger Street, but sorry.
Oh no, I just got this one to work. Don't worry.
I wish I would have picked up Danger Street from the very beginning.
Dude, I'll be honest with you, it's going to be better as all these Tom King maxi series are. It's going to be better in collected format, and they tend to do all of them in like 2-part trades or hardbacks. So, I'd recommend still checking it out. Most certainly, it's very, very unique. It's a story about perspectives and how. And I think the big, just projecting how TK does this stuff is like he tells like this very subtle, beautiful story, and then he drops a bomb on you in the last couple of issues to remind you of something you forgot. And currently in this book, there's a cosmic apocalypse happening, like a literal cosmic apocalypse happening where Darkseid and Highfather are having to work together to stop it. And they literally have all of the energy of apocalypse, those hellfires that burn on that planet, blasting into Highfather so that he's strong enough to hold the sky up in Atlas's absence, because Atlas was killed in the first issue. And while that's happening, here on little old Earth, with these little old characters that think their world is so important, these young kids who lost their best friend, and these two wannabe Justice League members that their stance with these other leaguers is so important, and this little green team that thinks that controlling the population is so important, and the Manhunter who all he can see is this religious zealot mission for justice against these crimes. None of it means jack if this stuff over here happens. And they've let it sit over there for the past couple issues, not referencing it and making these events seem so big over here when it means nothing. And I think that that's going to be the big hammer that they drop. And I hope he goes full tilt Boogie with this, like he did Human Target, and really commit to the end and do something wild. It's got a lot of potential.
Loved it.
That sounds cool. I want to check that. I have not read that book, but I love Tom King.
Yeah, I'm excited for next week.
I was talking to somebody about.
Go ahead, Tim.
I was just going to say, I was talking to somebody about Danger Street, and they said, they asked me if I was caught up with it. I was like, no, I still got to catch like 3 issues behind, I think. And they said something about it potentially continuing at the end. I haven't read it, so I don't know, but that's the way they took it.
It's not over. We're only halfway through, aren't we? Something like that.
It's supposed to be 12 issues.
I thought it was only 9. Okay.
Yeah, this.
I don't know why I thought it was 9. Okay.
Oh, this whole thing, to Mark's point, it's about physical combat. It's about psychological combat. It's about what is the nature and definition of winning. It's like there's just so much stuff that goes into this issue.
Yeah, it was insane. What I want to burn through. I haven't read Ghost Rider yet. I'm excited to read that one to get back into a brand new story arc and get to learn about some of the backstory behind that character Talia Warroad that's been rocking with Johnny. World's Finest Teen Titans. To be honest with you, didn't care for this issue. They lean too heavily into being at a con. Like the Teen Titans go to a con where they're beloved characters to the public, which I get, but just the giving us the con experience in a comic book was actually the opposite of pleasant. Every panel had like 50 speech bubbles from people just yelling and talking to them and all that, just to have an obsessive fan come in and come after, what's her name? Bumblebee or something?
Yeah, Bumblebee. I absolutely, I thought this issue was really, really fun in my opinion, and I loved enjoying it. What's that?
You talk about it then, because I'm not the
one. I loved like it. They played on the fact that like Robin wasn't able to go there because Batman's like, no, you're not going to put yourself in danger in that. And they do play on that at the end. We're just like, oh, is there anything going on? Like, is everything okay at the Bat house? And that is like, yeah, everything's fine. It's like, because you're the only one still here. Everybody left hours ago, so there must not be something going on. So there's something going on with that. There's also something going on with Bumblebee wanted to be demasked. They even stated it in the issue where it's just like there's more meaning to that than anything. And then there's that Toy Boy guy that came in who they're setting up this. They've been doing this since the beginning. They're going to set up a Terror Titans or something like that. So it's going to be a new team that go up against the Teen Titans, and I'm looking forward to that. I just feel like World's Finest Teen Titans has been just a fun, doesn't take itself too seriously type of comic, and I've been having a lot of fun reading it.
And to your point about the whole demasking thing and the drama with Robin trying to find his place with Batman and the team, that is a total callback and Easter egg and proper DC history knowledge by Mark Waid. Because in the Wolfman Perez era, that's one thing that Robin actually dealt with is the trust with the team and not letting the team know who he is and all that stuff. And they had to work to that. So that's him just honoring the history of the comics and actually keeping it accurate, being that we're retelling this time era. They're bringing that element over, which I thought was pretty smart. Robin's not getting to be a kid now that he's under the training of Bruce. I got one more DC one. Superman Lost is back this week, and man, it felt good to be back. We've been dealing with Superman on this planet that looks like another galaxy's version of Earth and dealing with a lot of the same problems and everything. But it finally hit this breaking point where this hope and that he wants to instill and this never giving up on people, even when they don't want your help. Like they actually banish him and finally get rid of him from this planet. He has a battle with Hope, the Green Lantern character there, who's an absolute savage and a murderer, and she doesn't want him to go. She's scared, but he ends up getting sent on through the cosmos, only to find in this crazy cool cliffhanger, it looked like Superman 1,000,000 almost. Like his big white beard, he ran into another version of himself in like a time stream, pretty much. It's been a fantastic series. Christopher Priest writing it. I hate that it had a little gap and everything, but I'm glad it's back. This one, I'd suggest people to pick up in a collected volume when it's all said and done if you haven't jumped on it already. It was good.
I haven't read it yet. I have it, but I haven't read it yet.
Yeah. Last book I had, TM. Did you finish it?
I did not read it. No, I'm still gonna read it. I'm gonna read it later tonight.
Philip Kennedy Johnson, the man who saved Superman from the Brian Michael Bendis era, is now doing the same thing for the Incredible Hulk post Donny Cates era. This is the age of monsters. The green door is closed, so everything is taking not afraid to come back out of the shadows now that they know that the Hulk is mortal again. It's really cool recognizing the Hulk as one of these monsters, and he's not the only monster in the Marvel universe. We're crossing paths with Man-Thing in this one. Him and the little girl that's traveling with him have made their way into a small town where horrors are happening. It looks like there's some kind of bog monster luring people in and killing them. And this little girl is looking like she's about to be the next victim, while the Hulk is being confronted by the Man-Thing, asking for the help with this creature is what it looks like. But as the request for help was done so fantastically, the creature comes up on Banner, Man-Thing comes up on Banner and just absorbs him in, burning him with his touch and everything, just to get ripped apart from the inside out from Banner transforming and just taking that headpiece Man-Thing has just off in his hand. But it was super cool. But they work it out, and it looks like we're going to be diving into a little team up to battle a beastly creature in the swamp here. So this is just fun. Unfortunately, Nick Klein is not on the interiors with this one. He's got the cover. I don't know what the deal is, him taking an issue off or what, but man, it does not live up to the artwork of issues 1 through 3. So I'll be happy to get Nick Klein back with the next issue.
Is he slated to come back then? Because the artwork in Incredible Hulk has been fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't keep up. I did notice, I know a lot of people are reading the new Superman series. It started at issue 1 with Jamal Campbell. I know this week's issue, there's a guest artist on the interior with Jamal on the cover. A lot of times that happens, just they give them an off month so that they can get ahead with the other stuff. Typically it happens at storyline shifts, or they'll do one shots just between story arcs, but I don't know. I want Nick Klein back immediately. Now. Y'all got any other ones y'all want to hit on for tonight?
That's everything I read.
That droid shaking his head no.
News. One Piece got renewed for a season 2. So I'm pumped for that. If you guys have not watched One Piece, definitely.
I'm a little more than halfway done. I'm enjoying that quite a bit. I think they are doing a really good job translating that to live action.
How many episodes is season 1?
8.
8.
I think.
So if I'm not mistaken, somebody said that's the longest running, I would not say anime comic, but manga, longest running manga in mangas or something like that, or not mangas, or
I think it's got to be
anime, right? It's a cartoon.
It's got to be that or Naruto.
There's 3. There's Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach are the longest running ones. I love Bleach. I'm happy that Bleach is back too.
I gotta go.
Go ahead,
dude. TM, man, if you ever want to do an anime hangout, I gotta go back and rewatch Bleach. But that's God, I love watching anime. I've got a subscription to Crunchyroll. I just never get enough time to sit and binge watch it.
How far did the season 1 live action take the story compared to the anime? Did it really touch on it? Is it an accurate adaptation?
I tried to watch One Piece when it was first coming out when I was a kid. I think I was 10. But it does take a long time to get right into it. So they did condense it into what we see on the screen. They did change a few things, but For the most part, they kept it the same, but they did condense it, and it's all of the East Blue arc. So however long that was. So
such a positive reception for something like this, like an anime turned into live adaptation. It looked like a lot of people have liked it.
I like this because they're dipping into some fun, family friendly stuff that'll hopefully help kick the door in or keep that door open for Akira when it gets here, when we can get Akira on the big screen, whether it be a movie or whether they decide to actually get it down to a streaming series. I don't know, but Akira is one we definitely need on the big screen at some point.
Now, that's one that I've watched numerous times. I can't imagine them being able to fit a live adaptation of that into just like one movie.
It's been in movie development hiatus for 8, 9, a lot of years, a lot.
We'll see.
But the way that they're talking about One Piece, they're saying like, oh, like we can go on to like 12 seasons if we want to, and that because there's over 1,000 episodes, and they're ready to go 12 seasons with it. So I'm all on board for it. They casted great actors in it, and they have the guy who wrote the manga, and like it is like having a big hand in the adaptation on Netflix.
I bet we start seeing a lot of that, especially next year, because this writers and actor strike is only here in America,
Right.
and Netflix is worldwide. Netflix, like with not having their assets here, are not going to slow down or stop. They're just going to allocate those resources to other places and just do different content. So I wonder if we're going to, could this be Akira's time to shine if they do it outside of the U.S.?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what that happens. It depends. I can't remember who owns the rights to Akira right now, but like it's already happening on Netflix now. When I log in and I look to see what is my next list of recommended stuff to pick, a lot of half it's like foreign films now and foreign shows.
What is going on, Remy Q? Yeah, I'm super excited for the next Alita Battle Angel. That was that was next level.
Are they're bringing back Alita Battle Angel?
Yeah, that's been something
cool.
that they've been saying they're doing more of ever since the first one dropped. I don't know. James Cameron does all kinds of stuff. Like he'll make a movie one year, then he'll go down and break the world's record for going in the deepest part of the ocean, and
James Cameron.
He's next level. He'll go help stop an oil spill in the Gulf one summer, and
you've watched the South Park about him, right?
Nuh-uh.
Oh, it's wonderful. That's just like James Cameron. There's nothing he can't do. Saving the world. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that's legit how he is. That blew my mind. I think it was the BP oil spill. It wasn't like a tanker. It's when that actual drill, the cap on the drill was messed up. Like they reached out to Cameron for some of his underwater submersible tech so that they can get down there to actually fix it. Like he had a hand in fixing that. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, when there was that tragedy with the little sub that imploded earlier in the summer, there was news reports of him being like, "Yeah, I knew what happened. My old sonar had picked it up that they were gone 4 days ago."
Yeah, he said that he heard it was going on and made one phone call and got the sonar recording from that area and listened to it, and he knew immediately that they picked up the sound of it imploding, and they just weren't reporting it for some reason. That's crazy. It's also crazy to think of the connections he has to make a phone call and get that information because he wanted to know. Because, in all honesty, he was probably like, if they're down there, I can go get them.
Man
like
made true lies. If he calls you,
you answer.
Say how high. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, let's go around the horn. What we got going on this coming week on the old tube? Let's start with aggressive relaxing. Aggressive, what do you have going on the YouTube?
I found a new way of actually recording phone calls again. There was a problem with
Andy's face. Like, wait, what?
Yeah, there was a problem where I was not able to record my phone calls coming in anymore from a mix of Verizon's new rules and Georgia state laws. But I found a workaround, and I will be able to bring that back soon. I've already got one in the can where I talk about Ashoka with a guy who's trying to sell me like. I told someone I was 67 a couple months ago, and it's just ruined my phone. But I have that coming out soon.
For those that don't know, when telemarketers and spam people call aggressive, he records them and he tries to sell them on some fantastic content or all kinds of things. There's a phenomenal Thrawn that he did years ago at this point where he
Whenever you listen to one of those Thrawn books, you have to talk. Like, I can't help it. My family hates it when I listen to Thrawn books. It'll be like 2 solid months of me just being like, "My name is Mithral Narud. Who is your favorite artist? Tell me more." And everyone's like, "Quit it. Stop doing that weird voice. What are you talking about?"
So all that and more are some fantastic content you can check out over on Aggressive
Sir.
Reaction channel. There's really just unlimited laughter going on over there. Andy, what do you got lined up?
Dude, we'll do the usual comic news weekly on Tuesday and the new comic book day on Wednesday. I'm down to my last couple of shorts from the Punisher Guts and Gunpowder card series, and I'm so glad to be done with that. I've got to post those probably tonight or tomorrow. And I've already recorded and already unboxed and already recorded the next Topps Chrome release that I've got. So I'm going to start uploading some more Mandalorian stuff and some Topps Chrome stuff after that. And that's been kind of fun, but yeah, just kind of vibing and chilling with everybody in the community. You know, Comicx Curing Cancer, October 20th to the 22nd. I've got an idea, and I'm really looking forward to hosting a panel for, I think it's about 2 hours, and it's a call to arms. This idea for this 2-hour panel on whatever day Rob and DJ Links and Mark are going to let me do it. It's going to be a 2-hour panel.
Saturday.
And it's okay. So it's going to be Saturday, and it's going to be Saturday. We're going to go old school telemarketing. And this is my idea, Mark. I'm going to put together group messages and I'm going to drop that link in there. And the only requirement is that if somebody comes on the show, they better have a dad joke, because it's going to be a 2-hour panel of dad jokes.
Oh, that's impressive.
Is it really though?
the fact that there's well more than 2 hours worth of dad jokes is. So that would be a nice little breath of.
Dude, I'm gonna put together like 3 or 4 group chats, a handful of group chats, and just start dropping the link, and we're just gonna cycle people in and out for jokes and however long they can stay and hang out, and see if we can raise money for Comicx Curing Cancer.
Yeah, we'll definitely stimulate the stream with some kind of something to encourage people to donate and get in on some kind of prize or giveaway or something as well. That'd be hilarious. I just picture you sitting there with like a pipe and some glasses, reading from your new book you found at the treasure shop called Ollie's.
Yeah, I'm gonna come on and do a couple dad jokes standing next to like my thermostat, making sure it hasn't changed.
Oh my god, that's freaking perfect.
That would be great. That just reminded me of Daddy's Home 2, that scene when the 2 dads and the granddads are sitting there arguing over letting the little kid touch the thermostat. You let this go on in your house?
See, like Don's like, I don't have that many dad jokes. And Don, I'm with you. I don't have that many dad jokes either. But collectively as a community, we can get enough people together to spend for 2 hours on some of the punniest, the driest, and the most terrible jokes out there. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun with it.
Oh, that's sad.
Okay.
Oh, that's sad. I have plenty of dad jokes, as you might imagine. TM, what's going on the CBC Award nominated Between the Lines? Go vote for Sector 2815 at cbcawards.org or Between the Lines at cbcawards.org.
I didn't know where you're going to go with that. I was just like, wait.
Hashtag for me.
It's just like, well, tomorrow over on my channel, 8:35 p.m. real time, we will have Nawman the Drawman joining us.
Nice.
Second time being on the show, and the theme is role reversal. So
that's gonna get kinky.
Yeah, it's like the way that he explained it is like Lois having the superpowers and Clark being the mistress, I guess. So
So will you be a power top for the night?
Hey, power top
Yeah,
TM.
I will be a power top for the yeah, when I messaged Roscoe about it, he's just like, so you draw and I control the chat? I was like, no.
Oh, do that, dude.
So I'm not drawing. I might. Who knows? I sometimes draw. Sometimes
Hey,
I don't
dude,
draw.
it's CBC A
I think you've
season.
officially
You better
drawn
draw.
once, right?
This is the
And
season
then
we will throw it all on the table, TM.
Yeah, I got an
and then
original
Wednesday I will have Glenn. He's just you see him in everybody's chats and that. Yeah, that's from Nalman as well.
Mm-hmm.
He did everybody cards up. Nalman's an awesome drawer.
And this is why
I will
everyone should go to Heroes Con, because you get given cool stuff like this from Nalman.
Nice.
super cool.
Wednesday for chatting with the comic community, I will have Glenn. You guys might have seen him in the chats before. He's actually doing lives now, so definitely go check out Glenn on YouTube. He has a different. I think he needs to change his name a little bit because some people have a hard time finding him. But I had an awesome conversation with him, and it'll drop on my channel at this upcoming Wednesday.
Cliff says TM does not give me power top or bottom vibes. He does it like he can take directions, though.
Power mid.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome that you picked up that legal burning piece. That was part of the Legion loot that Paul won last month. He won the August Legion loot. Very cool piece. Other Paul.
Yes.
Co-host Paul.
So as I mentioned, tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock on my channel, we have TC Comic Deep Dive. We'll cover the Gotham War Prelude, and then we'll go into deeper talk about the Batman Gargoyle of Gotham. Because it was kind of an off week for the Gotham War Prelude. This is an off week for Guess That Key, but a week from Wednesday we'll be on. We will have Durs with us, as well as DK Productions, who is one half of the Hidden Gem team that does Friday nights on Hidden Gems channel. So he will be with us as well. So
boom, I'm excited for that. Tomorrow is the part 12 of the graded comic collection I've been doing. If you haven't checked that out, I have put it into a playlist. Check that out. Be sure to enter the CGC giveaway that's attached to that video series. We're getting toward the end of it. Of course, Tuesdays is DC Day, so I live stream midday for that. I have the card and comic show that me and the kids and the wife went to this weekend. Have a really fun video with footage from that and everything dropping Wednesday. And of course, Friday, community hangout, and every Sunday night right here for At Week's End. And that's going to wrap it up for tonight. I appreciate everybody coming and hanging out, watching, and chatting with us. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up on your way out if you haven't already. Help out with the eternal battle against the YouTube algorithm. Hit that subscribe button and consider supporting the channel. Check out the merch or hit that join button. Become a channel member today. Big shout out to, I think it was Loaders, rejoined the channel membership. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. And until next time, as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.